Have you ever wondered how much content creators make, or if it's possible for you to create content and earn an income? If it's something you've been toying with, then this video is perfect because I'm going to dive into my income from content creation over the past 3 years to give you an idea if it's really possible and how much a small creator can earn. I'm also going to give you some tips and things that I wish I had known from the very beginning of my content creation journey to definitely monetize a little bit better. And if you're just seeing my face for the very first time, hey, I'm Amy. I'm a travel content creator. I've been to 49 countries and I create travel content for part of my living. The point of doing this video is to give you a realistic idea of how much money you can make doing content creation, because as much as we want to believe that it's possible to just blow up overnight, it's not going to happen to most people. So I want you to see kind of how my income fluctuated and what happened over the past 3 years. So let's get into it. For some context, here's a SparksNote version of my content creation journey so you can get an idea of how I got here. Throwing it all the way back to 2016, it was the first time I went traveling. I was actually on my way to study abroad in Australia, and I stopped off in a few countries in Southeast Asia. As you can probably imagine, I caught the travel bug really quickly, and I knew I had to make money from travel. I just didn't know how. Then flash forward a little bit to 2020 in about March. I ended up at home at my parents' house. I had to get a full-time job and I absolutely hated this job. It was doing social media, but it was just not what I was looking for, and that pushed me to kind of get into freelancing. So I was creating TikToks at the time because that's when TikTok was kind of popping off and I wanted to just do it for fun. I was making some travel videos, and when a few of them went viral, I kind of kept going just because I thought it was fun. And at the same time, I was growing my freelance client base because I wanted to be doing freelance work full time, so that way I could quit this job and get out of there and travel. It was sometime in 2020, I think near the end of the year, that I had around 30,000 followers on TikTok, and I had a brand approach me to do a brand deal. This was so new to me, I had no idea I could make money this way, and I think they paid me 300 Canadian dollars, which is like 200 US dollars. And at the time I was over the moon because it was something I hadn't done before. Then I kind of kept doing that in conjunction with my freelance writing work and ended up leaving Canada at the very end of 2021 in November on a one-way flight to South Africa. My Instagram account started taking off in 2022 when I was still in South Africa and posting a lot about it, and that's when I started to do a little bit more content work alongside the freelancing work. So I was kind of leaning into that a little bit more because my account was growing and I saw the potential. Then in 2023, in May, I decided to start this YouTube channel properly. I think I had posted 1 or 2 videos in the past before then, but I was like, I'm going all in on YouTube because I want to have another income stream. And fast forward to today, or about a week ago, I finally got accepted to the YouTube partner program, which means I can get monetized on my YouTube videos, which is so exciting. And I officially have over 120,000 followers across all my social platforms. So 2022 was the first year I started earning money from content creation, but at the time I didn't really think it was going to be what I was going to be doing for most of my income. And I was still doing the copywriting work mostly, so you're not going to see a huge number here, but I was still pretty surprised when I added it up and did the breakdown. I was mostly earning from affiliate partnerships, from my ebook that I created that year, from a few brand deals here and there, and I was able to lock in a long-term partnership somewhere around halfway through 2022, which had some consistent content income coming in, which was great. My biggest issue at this stage was I had no idea what to charge brands, and I also didn't know how to negotiate rates. So that's why my income wasn't really that great in the first year, even though my Instagram was actually at a higher following count than it is now. I found it really challenging not knowing what to charge and not knowing how to negotiate because I looked everywhere online and people were kind of hiding how much they were charging, not really talking about it that openly at that time. So I was kind of finding a few videos here and there, but it was really difficult because I also didn't know anyone in person who was doing this type of work. So I was kind of just throwing things out there and hoping it stuck and that people would want to work with me. So I'm going to pull up my monthly earnings here so you can have a look. But essentially in January, I earned $49.95. That was just affiliates. February was almost the same, $49.97. March was $19.96. So all of that was just affiliate income. April was $849.57. Part of that was an experience that I was doing with a brand. And then May dropped down significantly to $19.98. June was $0. July was $3,260. I remember I got one partnership there with a big brand and it was super exciting. It was the first one that was in the 4 figures, I believe. Then I had $1,043.17 in August, $1,000 in September. This was part of the long-term partnership. I think it started in August and it was $1,000 each month. Then October was $1,322.60, November $1,036.13, and December $1,000 exactly. So as you can see, most of that is that 6-month or 5-month contract I had in place. And that brings us to a total of $9,651.33. And even though I was able to earn almost 10,000 US dollars from my content that year, which is a really big achievement, I attribute a lot of that from my account on Instagram growing from 5,000 to over 25,000 followers at the time. I think that just really helped get brands to notice me, and I was doing no outreach at all. Brands were coming to me. I think a lot of people will tell you you don't need a big following to make money through content, which is partially true. You don't. You can be doing UGC work. But I do think it helps to have a following to show that sort of social credibility. It's never going to hurt to have a big amount of followers, to be completely honest. And I think anyone who says you don't need a big following or you really don't need to like focus on growing your following is kind of kidding themselves. And as a side note, I'm pricing everything in USD because that's how I charge my clients. So even though I'm Canadian, I will have to pay taxes in Canada every single year, and I know how much I earned in Canadian dollars. It fluctuates with the currencies going up and down, so I'm just showing you exactly what I made and charged in USD at the time. Jumping into 2023, not gonna lie, it was a really weird year for me. I had got into a relationship at the end of 2022 and was doing a little bit of long distance for the first time in 2023, so that was a bit difficult, and had a lot of challenges because I was working in Colombia and felt kind of stressed with the language barrier and trying to learn Spanish while working remotely. So the numbers kind of reflect that. This was a year of confusion for me when I look back. My numbers were fluctuating a lot because I had one foot in the door for content, one foot in the door for writing, because AI was starting to take over all my writing jobs. So I wasn't really sure if I should go all in with writing and try to find more clients, or if I should just go all in with content. And I was definitely confused. So it was all over the place content-wise that year. I didn't really know a thing. And I was learning along the way though. So let's kind of look at the numbers. So for 2023, I was earning money from my ebook, from affiliates, a webinar that I hosted, a random feature that I had on Bustle. I don't even think they published it, but I did a video thing for them. Coaching, one-on-one coaching that I offer, digital products, and brand deals. So January was a whole total of $41.39. February was $2,316.80. March was $2,016.18. April was $12.60, pretty low. May was $94.58. June was $2,725.16. July was quite low again at $200 even. August was $118.64. Then at the end of the year, it kind of picked up again, but dropped. September was $536. October was $1,565. November was $415, and December was $212.90. So that brings us to a grand total of $10,254.25. So that's about, my math is horrible, but that's about like an $800 difference between 2023 and 2022. And I definitely learned a lot about where I went wrong during 2023. At the time, I didn't really realize what I was doing, but I was super confused. I didn't know where I was going with content. I wasn't pitching to brands. I was just kind of letting things happen, but not really taking the initiative. And even though it wasn't a big jump from the previous year, I learned a lot and I took that into 2024. Moving along into 2024, this was by far my best year for content. It's a huge jump from the previous 2 years, and I didn't even realize until I was prepping for this video, wrote out the numbers, and saw just how much I earned from content alone. That said, a big chunk of my income from 2024 was from one brand deal alone, which is kind of crazy. And also I wasn't doing as much freelance work or other work on the side, so I had a lot more time to commit to content. 2024 was also the first year I started hosting group trips successfully. I had tried in the past and never actually sold them. So I went to Iceland in March of 2024 and got some money from that trip. I was also doing more work with affiliates, with UGC, with brands in general, a lot more brand deals, and I was definitely pitching to more brands than ever before. And I had my first month of earning over 5,000 US dollars for content, which was crazy and something I definitely didn't see coming, especially when I converted to Canadian dollars and the number is a lot higher. Okay, so jumping into the numbers again for everything I did content-wise in 2024, January was $1,739.72. February was $3,986.37. March was similar, $3,328.10. April was $5,508, which was my best month of the year. May was $247.03. June and July were very low. June was $230.67. July was $77.54. August was $4,185.22. September was $3,941.97. October was $1,095.33. And then again, things kind of fell through the cracks a little bit at the end of the year because I'm focusing on things for going into 2025. So November was $660.80. And December was $395.39. That brings us to a grand total of $25,165.47. The biggest thing I noticed about my income in 2024 from content was that I took the initiative to pitch to brands. This is so important because you can't just wait for people to come contacting you. You never know what your month to month is going to look like, so you really have to go out there and get it for yourself. I also stopped accepting gifted opportunities unless it's something I really wanted and would have spent the money on already. And I stopped accepting lowball offers. This is something I'm also working on in 2025 because I'm already negotiating brand deals with a couple of people, and it's really hard to just accept a lower rate. I think it lowers how you view yourself overall and how you view your business and the value that you bring. So in this year, I'm definitely working on that as well, just keeping my rates at a certain price and not dropping below them, no matter what a company's budget is. I'm going to work harder to find brands that actually have a budget that I can work with instead of fitting in with some other budget that isn't really doing much for me and won't be very good to support me in the future. Here are a few lessons I learned along the way and advice for aspiring creators. There were so many things that I could talk about here and things that I learned in the past couple of years, but here are the 3 things I think are most important to know going into 2025. First up is be patient. You're likely not going to find success right away or overnight. If you do, that's amazing, but from what I've seen, most people have to grind it out and put in the time and effort to work on their content consistently. I was putting content on YouTube for a whole year and 8 months consistently before I actually got accepted to the partner program, and it took me a while to actually start getting brand deals on Instagram and TikTok. It was only once I started putting in the work consistently. I also think it's more important to focus on slow growth rather than getting a few viral videos and getting your numbers up, because even though you want to grow quickly, if you're growing at a slow but sustainable pace, it means you're going to find success in the long term. A lot of people will burn out really quickly if they have growth too quickly. And also a lot of people will give up on their goals before they hit them. So if you are dedicated and know you're not going to give up until you reach a certain point, stick with it. It will take time. You have to be patient. Number 2 is diversify your income streams. This is something I wish I thought about a little bit more at the very beginning. I kind of knew that this was important, but I didn't put a lot of focus on it. And as you can see, every single year my income fluctuates month to month like crazy, especially in the first year where I didn't know what I was doing at all. But still, even this past summer, I wasn't making very much over the summer, and you have to account for that. So think about the different ways you can monetize your content and focus on having multiple income streams, as many as you can. This year, I'm focusing on adding another income stream. Now that I have YouTube monetization, I'm working on getting my blog monetized as well. So by the end of 2025, you're gonna see me adding that as an income stream. And there's always going to be something more in the works because you never know what can happen. You never know what's going to change, and you have to have different ways that you can be earning money. And lastly, be yourself. I know a lot of people talk about this on social media and on YouTube, but it is definitely easier said than done. I've been posting on YouTube for a while now, and it still can feel awkward at times being in front of the camera, especially if other people are around. And when I'm filming TikToks and stuff for Instagram, it can always be a little bit awkward. But I think it's important to just show your true self and people will find you. There's so much content that's overly produced and people just want to relate to you and understand the person behind the camera. So if you're providing entertainment or value and being yourself at the same time, people will really resonate with that. I think I definitely used to perform a little bit on social media, but as soon as I started to peel back some layers, be a little bit more vulnerable, and share real topics that I was interested in, that's when I started to see my channel grow. I wasn't focusing on trends, I was just putting content out there that I thought would be helpful to people, that I thought was interesting and is something I would want to watch. I am by no means at the end of my content creation journey, so I have lots of goals coming for 2025. Let me know if you want to see more of that content on YouTube, and I will share more of the behind the scenes stuff and things that I'm working on. And make sure you're subscribed as well if you aren't already, because I put up new videos every single Wednesday. As always, thank you so much for watching to the very end of the video. I appreciate it more than you know, and I will see you next Wednesday for another one. Bye!